What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Opps SportsCast. I'm your host, David the Cut, and on tonight's episode, we will be discussing. My bad. Uh, Alex Ovechkin finally gets the record. Peasy, you could pick on me because I messed up his name too. uh, Two-way athletes across all sports. The MLB Players Association's power move this week. And we'll also be discussing South Carolina coach Dawn Staley. She has some interesting comments before the championship game. We're going to get into all of that tonight. Should be a great show. Fellas, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
What up, man?
Chilling.
Doing good, man.
Good,
Ready to
good.
get it
It's a
in.
busy week, man. Busy week.
All
We
right.
got a heavy show this week, so
That's right.
we're not gonna mess around, dilly dally. So we're gonna just jump right into it. I'll let everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Josh from Eastside.
It's your boy Big Z.
Chris Peasy in the building. What up, everybody? Gonna get it in today. Lot to
Yeah, we're
cover.
gonna get it. All right. Welcome, fellas. Glad to have you guys here. It's a busy night tonight, man. There's a lot going on, man. The Braves playing the Phillies right now.
Hmm.
Um, what else, man? Luca's going back to Dallas tonight. That's crazy. So I'm gonna try to catch up on some of those things tonight, man. Got the DVR running overtime right now. So, Peasy, real quick, why don't you tell us about our this week's sponsor?
For sure. Elevated Creations ROC LLC is Rochester's premier woman-owned balloon and event decor specialist. Whether you're planning an office party, intimate birthday celebration, or luxurious wedding, Elevated Creations ROC LLC will transform your vision into unforgettable memories. Stunning balloon arrangements, custom centerpieces, welcome signs, and seating charts, they do it all. Elevated Creations ROC LLC is here to make your event exceptional, creating moments that wow your guests and make your special day truly extraordinary. So if you want to transform your event from ordinary to extraordinary, visit their website at elevatedcreationsroc.com for more information. Elevated Creations, we were created to create.
All right, Peasy, appreciate you, man. Shout out to Elevated Creations. We appreciate them being our sponsor and our partner for the month. And if you're interested in having an advertising campaign with us, or just sponsoring us, or just coming alongside to partner with us, just check out the information in the description of the video. Okay. All right. So let's jump into it, fellas. We're not going to waste any time. So um, the way we do it is the way the format of the show works is we introduce a topic, and then we use a show of fingers to show our stance on the topic that we're discussing. 5 being that you strongly agree, 1 being that you strongly disagree. And our votes can fall anywhere in between that. All right.
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Let's jump into it, fellas. We're not going to waste any more time. Let's get into it.
Here we go.
All right. So for some context, Wayne Gretzky broke Gordie Howe's NHL record on March 23rd, 1994, scoring his 802nd goal. Alex Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record of 894 puts him in the conversation for GOAT in the NHL. All right, let's get it. 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm at a 3. Josh is at a 3. Big Zeke is at a 3. Peasy's at 2. Peasy, let's go.
I'm not the biggest on NHL, but I can tell you this much that I think Wayne Gretzky still has to have that title as the GOAT just because of the accomplishments he's been able to do. And I really think like when you think of hockey, you kind of think of Wayne Gretzky and his crossover appeal. Ovechkin is an awesome goal scorer, but I don't know that he has necessarily the transcendent appeal that Wayne Gretzky did in his heyday. Where I mean, you've seen this dude everywhere. And not for nothing, to my understanding, like the points total, like as far as assists, when you combine that with points, I mean, Gretzky still takes it by a mile. And so I don't think you can leap into that. But I mean, you got to give this dude his props, man. I mean, it's no easy feat to beat that record, and that's why we've been talking about it on the podcast for the last few weeks. So props to Alex Ovechkin, got his name correct this time, and congratulations. That's a mark that will probably stand the test of time. We'll see.
All right, all right. Josh, let's go, man. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, man. I gave this a 3. And like Chris, I don't know much about hockey, let alone what it means to be a go to the sport. But one thing that I can say is in my era and in this time, it was all about Wayne Gretzky. It was all about those players that left those lasting impacts, that caused young kids to want to come up and play the sport. So does he deserve to be in the GOAT discussion? Probably. Man, it's probably not very easy to hit an all-time goal record like such, 894. It's been in play for quite some time. So I gave it a 3 because you could persuade me one way or the other. You could convince me he should be in the GOAT conversation. You could convince me that he doesn't belong in. So easy take for me.
All right, sweet. Zeke, I'll go next. I'll let you go last. So for me, I've always loved Alex Ovechkin. He's always been a character. Um, I wish we had the commercial. I wanted to play the commercial that he did when he was a young player, the ESPN commercial. Maybe we could play it later on in the show if we can find it. But where he was in the copy room and they went in there. He was in there in the file cabinet and stuff. It was hilarious. Him and the goalie, they're Russian players, and they were in there and it looked like they were stealing files. And he's always been like very charismatic, but that alone doesn't transcend him to GOAT status. Wayne Gretzky is far above and beyond the GOAT of the sport. Not only from a scoring standpoint, but from assists, and so he's got goals, assists, and points.
Hmm.
And one of those categories, it's like I believe it's the points, if I'm not mistaken. He's like double. He has like double the points that Ovechkin has. So it just goes to show you how hard it is in that sport, to accumulate that kind of status. With those 3 categories, it's like the triple crown. You know what I mean? So for me, that's always going to be Wayne Gretzky. Let's hear from you, Josh. I'm sorry, not Josh. Zeke.
Zeke.
You already went, Josh. My bad.
You're good.
Yeah, so I gave it a 3. If I don't think there is a discussion for NHL GOAT. It's hands down gonna be Gretzky. I don't see anybody surpassing him. If you take a look at his list of accomplishments, he's 4 Stanley Cups. How many MVPs? 9 MVPs.
All
He played 20 seasons, never finished outside of the top 10 in assists. Wayne Gretzky, if you took Michael Jordan and combined him with John Stockton, that's Wayne Gretzky on the ice.
Yeah.
If Wayne Gretzky never scored a goal, he's still the NHL's all-time leader
Yep.
in points. Yeah, so I gave it a 3 because I don't think there is a discussion, but if there was gonna be a discussion, somebody could definitely argue for Ovechkin. Um, he would be like we talked a couple episodes ago about the Mount Rushmore. Would I put him in the top 5, top 10? Absolutely. But everybody else on that list is fighting for second place. Like there is no conversation for the GOAT of the NHL. It's hands down Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. Let me just wrap up with this really quick too. A lot of people like to talk about like which sport is like, what's the best sport, sportsmanship and showmanship and all of this stuff. And I personally think that in the NBA, the MLB, and the NFL could learn a lot from the NHL. This man broke this record on the New York Islanders ice, and there was not an empty seat in the arena on that night. Everybody jumped up. Capitals fans, Islander fans, it was just bananas, and everybody stayed for the ceremony. Um, the game of hockey is just far above and beyond other sports in the sense that when they finish a series in the playoffs, they all line up and they shake hands, regardless of how they feel about each other. It's a tradition that's been carried on throughout the sport, and I would love to see see MLB incorporate this into playoffs. And just the camaraderie. I feel like it helps the players kind of embrace the sport more and show younger players, up and coming players, uh, what the sport is really all about, what they're really out there for. You know what I mean? So I just really feel like this showed me, far above and beyond that, the NHL has it right when it comes to how the sport is not only promoted, but how the players carry the torch. So shout out to the New York Islanders fans and just how they handled the whole situation. I thought it was beautiful. I really did.
Absolutely. And fellas, I just thought it would fair to share. Like we're talking all these stats. Let's see them face to face. There's Ovi, Wayne Gretzky. I mean, look at the green on that right side. I mean, even down in the categories here below, you can even see, Hall of Fame check mark. He's there. 4 championships, 9 Hart. I'm assuming that's like the MVP discussions. I don't know. Does
Yeah,
anyone know? Okay,
yeah, it's a Hart Trophy.
10
Certainly do.
Ross, Smythe, big. You got all this stuff. I have no idea what it is, but he check marks them all. So I mean, you gotta.
Yeah, I will say this, but props to Ovechkin on getting that goal scoring
Yes,
award in less games.
yes.
And so, like, I mean, say what you want
Was it
about the
less
man.
games or same amount of games? It might have been like one less game.
Well, according to this, games played 1487 to
Yeah, verse
1567.
1562.
I I could
So,
have
but
swore
I
I
don't
saw
know.
a different stat, but yeah, I mean, I see it.
Yeah. I mean, so he still had, I mean, as he continues to play the next, close to 80 so games, to match the career games played of Wayne Gretzky, he has a chance to add to that record. So, props to him. It's not like we're in like a LeBron situation. I have to throw him under the bus, but you know what I mean? My man's played like twice the career of Michael Jordan at this point, and now he's look
Yeah,
what I did, guys. It's like, all right, bro, you paid like twice the career. Congrats on your longevity, though. That's no small feat, and so we give him props there. But as far as like the GOAT conversation, like there's no comparison, I think, in either sport.
yeah, man.
Cool, cool. All right, we ready for the next topic?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
Always.
do
Let's
it.
keep moving.
All right, give me 1 second here.
I got you.
Get back on my screen. All right. All right. The arrival of Shohei Ohtani has brought out interesting opinions about two-way players and athletes. David Cohn was right when he proclaimed that Ohtani is a better athlete than Bo Jackson. All right, let's count this down, man, because I got a lot to say about this. 3, 2, 1.
My man gave it a squadoosh.
Is that allowed? I don't think that's allowed.
Hey, we said 1 to 5 days.
1 to 5.
He
I got
gave it an
everybody.
L of a
Mark
come
got
on
one.
song
Josh has
face.
one. Zeke has one. Chris, what did you have?
I had
Chris
a
had a
one.
1. I think
Okay.
this is the first time we've all had the same number.
Dang.
We're in unison
Cool.
here. Look at
Crazy.
All right,
us.
Zeke, let's
Let
go.
let's let now let Dave have the floor on this one. Dave, speak your piece, and we'll move on to the
Oh,
next
we
topic
going
because
we going we gonna
I
hear
got a
great.
feeling it's going to be lovely. I'm gonna sit back and watch. Where my popcorn at?
Oh my goodness, man. So I honestly was not expecting everybody to be a 1 on this, man.
Wow.
So
Give us some credit, man.
I
Yeah.
mean, man, listen, I do give you guys credit, man. It's just that, you guys know how I am about this whole Shohei Ohtani thing, man. I think Shohei Ohtani is a phenomenal athlete, man. I really do. But the whole situation, man, with like just tearing down the players that came before him, and it's not him, bro. Let me just make this clear. Shohei Ohtani is not. He's not arrogant and by any stretch of the imagination. But we've painted this guy to be otherworldly, man. Like it's so ridiculous. So I was watching the Sunday night ESPN game. It was July 21st last summer, and Eduardo was talking about, you know, with him being a two position player, you know, oh, nobody's doing this. He's just the greatest thing. His athleticism is far surpasses everybody. And then somebody mentioned Bo Jackson, and then David Cohn lost all credibility with me for the rest of his life by saying, "Yeah, he's even better than Bo Jackson. He's a better athlete than Bo Jackson." I don't care. I don't care what Shohei Ohtani does on the baseball field. I don't. Shohei Ohtani will never be a better athlete than Bo Jackson. Whoever is watching this and they think that because this man pitches and he DHs and he steals some bases and he hits home runs, that he could step off the baseball field and go put on a football uniform and be the equivalent of Bo Jackson, you need to immediately have your family take you to the closest drug center and have you drug tested for everything. And it infuriates me, man, to the like, it's bad enough that, he's greater than Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth played against, farmers and blah, blah, blah. It's like they're tearing this man's legacy down, man. And it's for what, man? Like, Ohtani is great. I get it. But can we stop tearing down the past greats to uplift this man and put him on a bigger pedestal? I got one for you, and I'll say it right here. If he's so great, you know what I want him to do? I want him to chop off his non-pitching hand, and I want him to throw a no-hitter or a perfect game, like Jim Abbott.
With the Jim Abbott.
If you're so great, do that.
Dang.
I'll wait. Dang. You know what I'm saying? It's the absurdity of what I'm saying. It matches the absurdity of what they're saying. You know what I mean? It's just
it's true.
It's a lose-lose situation, man. It's like we need to start learning how to celebrate athletes without going back to history and tearing down the people that made it possible for them. You know what I mean?
Can I give a little context?
I love what this guy is doing for the game. I really do. Zeke, you know, man, like I bought my first Shohei Ohtani card during the offseason. You know what I mean? I love what Shohei Ohtani brings to the game, man. But I just really can't deal with the absurdity of the comments. Really, a better athlete than Bo Jackson. He's not a better athlete than Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders, bro.
Or Deion. I was going to mention Deion.
Okay. And neither one of them pitched and DH'd. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no way Shohei Ohtani is a better athlete than either one of them.
You could even go as far as saying guys like, and I'm going to even cover my own ears, Patrick Mahomes. Pat Mahomes was on a career projection to hit MLB, right? And he ended up playing football. So, like, you could easily say something like that. That is true. Wow.
Well, let me give a little bit of context here. Is that like for our viewers out there who like who the heck is David Cone? Because that may be before your generation. David Cone is a former Yankee, former Met pitcher, but he's also a former Kansas City Royal. He actually played with Bo Jackson.
Yep. That's so what's sad about it, bro.
Just for context for the audience, he actually played.
Saw it with his own eyes.
Now, keep in mind, David Cone being a former pitcher, you're going to be biased towards your position. And so you think pitching is probably the hardest thing in the world. And you're thinking like, man, if this dude could be as good as me and at pitching, and he can do what I couldn't do, which was hit, because David Cone couldn't hit a lick. Believe me, he played for the Mets. I know. You know what I mean? Like that's back when the National League actually didn't have a DH anyway, designated hitter. So the pitchers had to hit. So he probably thinks that that's the greatest thing. But the crazy thing is like, they're like, bro, like you played with Bo Jackson. Like you have to see him go to the NFL and make a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, like he's the only player that made both all-stars in
Yep.
football and in baseball. So when we're talking about, and the reason he made the all-star team in baseball, keep in mind, is because he was a great two-way player, just like Shohei Ohtani. But the way that he was a two-way player, he was a fantastic outfielder, had a fantastic arm. There's highlights of him all over, the web of him throwing out guys, making outstanding plays in the outfield, and he hit for power, and he hit for decent average, not anything to write home about, but he hit for really good power. Like today's game, he would be, 100, maybe even $200 million player just on the baseball, just on the talents alone. And yet, when people think Bo Jackson, I might go as far to say people probably remember him more as a football player, maybe even, which is just crazy when you're.
Especially because of Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you put him in that
The
context,
GOAT
you say
of
like Bo
Tecmo
Jackson was
Bowl.
a football player. Bo Jackson was probably a better baseball player than he was a football player, and it's just
Correct.
crazy to say that. Which is why, in this context, David Cone sounds silly, and I like David Cone. He was a good Met. He was a good Yankee.
Yeah.
But for him to say something like that, I understand his bias, him being a pitcher, but it just comes off as foolishness.
Yeah, it's nonsense, man. And he threw a perfect game for us too, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy, And let's not forget the 2 times that Bo Jackson like broke a bat over his thigh, and he broke one over his head too. He completely snapped the bat.
Is he the goat
The
just
bat
for
on his
that?
helmet and just snapped it. It's like this dude was just a specimen, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man. We can move on from this. Again, man, like no shade to David Cohn, but he probably should still get drug tested though.
Big facts.
All right. Let's see where we at. We're moving kind of quick, but it's good because we got some heavy stuff coming up. So, all right, let's go to topic 3. All right, so let me add some context to this. Okay, so the MLB Players Association reportedly told Jackson Merrill, who is in his second year, not to sign such a team-friendly contract with his current team, the San Diego Padres. And this comes from the San Diego Union Tribune. Quote, the ideal that Merrill, averaging just $15 million a year, had lawyers from the players union strongly advising him to reject the offer, Bob Nightingale stated in his MLB Insider article. Regardless of what the union said, Jackson Merrill signed the extension, and he professed his love for the San Diego Padres. And he had this quote. He said, I know there's contracts out there that are beyond absurd. There's super amounts of money, but having a relationship with a real human being and a real team like I have here, you can't beat that. You can't just sign for $700 million and want everything to be perfect. Sound like a little shot at Juan Soto. I've got people all around the clubhouse that are supporting me and supporting my family. They ask about my personal life every day, so I'm just grateful for that. I know it's going to be the same way for the next 9 years, end quote. And so Jackson Merrill said that he knew from the moment the Padres contacted him about the extension that he wanted to sign a long-term extension with them. So with that bit of context, here's the statement. The MLBPA encouraging players to not sign contracts that they disagree with should be viewed as morally and legally, that should say unacceptable, and not a form of tampering. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I read it right. Legally acceptable and not a form of tampering. My bad. All right. So this statement is saying we agree with it. It's good. MLBPA is not doing anything wrong. They're doing, everything is on the up and up.
You're
All
giving
right.
us a little foresight, Dave. We already know where you're going. Let's vote.
I don't know. We'll see. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa.
All right. I'm at a 4. Chris is at a 5. All right. Josh is at a 2. Zeke's at a 2.
Oh, okay. We got some disagreement this one.
Interesting.
All right. Big Z. Let's go.
All right. I don't like what the MLBPA is doing in this situation. Um, I understand the concept of wanting players to go after the biggest dollars possible because what's the saying? A rising tide raises all ships, or something like that.
Yep.
Um, Here's the thing: the ink isn't even dry in this contract, and my man just landed on the IL
Hmm.
with a
Right.
strained hamstring. Okay. Um, Jackson Merrill is 21 years old. I believe he'll be 22 next weekend. Jackson Merrill has a guaranteed $135 million coming his way. At the end of this contract, Jackson Merrill will be 31, 31 years old, prayerfully still in the prime of his career. Guess what Jackson Merrill can do? Sign for a humongous contract
That's
if
right.
his trajectory goes the way that people he's projected to be a rising star. He is a rising star. They think he's going to be a superstar in this league. If it wasn't for Paul Skeens doing what he did on the mound last year, Jackson Merrill would have been a National League Rookie of the Year. And I believe he got some MVP votes. Um, Jackson Merrill right now is an awesome young player in the league, but sports is a fickle thing.
Hmm.
Jackson Merrill, we saw Freddie Freeman last week. He slipped in the shower. All
Yep.
right. I remember I think it was Sammy Sosa one time went on the injured list because he sneezed too hard and hurt his ribs or something like that. Like the
No
the
belief.
the human body is sturdy, it's durable, but at the same time is so fickle and so fragile. So for Jackson Merrill at 21 years old to be able to guarantee himself $135 million, he puts himself in a position where he's got money and all he has to do is keep doing what he's doing,
Hmm.
and he pretty much betting on himself like, yeah, I'm securing the bag now, and when I hit free agency I'm going to secure an even bigger bag. It also puts the Padres in a position where they can build around him. They got Tatis still. Manny Machado, they still have him, but he's getting older. They have an aging pitching staff, Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove and Michael King. These guys aren't spring chickens. So there's going to come a time where they're going to have to spend some big money on some free agents. You don't want to have two, three, $400 million tied up and one guy. I mean, they can't spend money like the Dodgers. They can't spend money like the Mets. So they went out. They took that Atlanta Braves approach. We got a young star. We're gonna skip all this arbitration and all the years where we just gotta go back and forth. Here, $15 million a year for a 21-year-old baseball player. That's life changing money already. And he put himself in a position where when he hits free agency again, he'll still be young. He'll still be hopefully that superstar that everybody projects he'll be, and he can secure an even bigger bag to the point where it's like, okay, you made your money. If you want to go somewhere else where they're gonna give you the 400, 500 mil like Vladdy just got, cool. If you want to stay in San Diego and sign another quote unquote team friendly deal, I mean, I don't know, it probably won't be 135 mil, but if he goes and gets 350 mil, 400 mil from San Diego again, and they can still build around him because they were wise with this deal, I don't see what the problem is. Um, Sometimes I think the MLBP they're too narrow minded. They want everybody to get the biggest bag possible, but I mean, at the detriment of what? You got a handful of players that's got all this money. Everybody else is going to suffer. You can't just keep raising everybody's price tags. So yeah, I applaud Jackson Merrill on standing his ground on this. He's in a position where he loves the team he's on. He loves his teammates, and 135 million nothing to sneeze at. So big ups to Jackson Merrill. I hope this is a short injury list stint, and I hope to see him back on the field doing what he does because he's a fun player to watch.
All right, that was
Yeah.
a great take.
Oh,
Peasy.
Yeah, it don't really sound like Zeke disagrees. I mean, he was a two, I was a five. So I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with the MLB encouraging players to not sign those contracts just because I mean, they have a job to do, and their job is to seek the benefit of all players, and I understand that, and they can give their 2 cents, and he doesn't have to follow it, and he didn't. But to give the audience a little bit of context of what an MLB player goes through a little bit is that, like, a lot of times, like when you're like in high school or whatever, you may get drafted or Let's say if you're a foreign-born player, a team might offer you like sometimes it can be millions of dollars to come and sign with their organization as an amateur, right? And so you come into their franchise, but then they have years of control over you,
Mm.
right? And so I don't think like maybe the audience really doesn't understand like if Jackson Merrill wanted to do what the MLB was encouraging him to do, which was to wait until he can become a free agent to get the bag, if you will. The Padres literally had 4 years of control over that player. And so I don't think really people understand what that means of that control is that they didn't have to sign him. They could have kept him on that minimum contract. I don't really know what he was making before, but usually as a minor league amateur, ascending athlete, you're really not making that much. Like, and I know a lot of like, I used to look at this back in the day because I used to wonder back when I was in Rochester how much the Rochester Red Wings players were making, and they were making some decent money, but they're not rich. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're making in the 70, 80,000s, or maybe a 100,000 or something like that, or maybe even a couple hundred for the players that were a little bit more highly touted. But when you look at this contract, it's a 9-year agreement. It really only added about 5 years of basically his free agency being wiped away. Because 4 of those years he would have not he wasn't going to be making a bag. So for Jackson Merrill to be able to get that money now when you don't know what the future holds, I don't see anything wrong with that. But MLBPA encouraging him, hey, don't sign that because you're an ascending star in this league and you're going to be able to be that person that pushes the envelope for us down the road. I understand them making that recommendation, but I fully understand Jackson saying, hey, this is my chance to get that generational wealth right now, and hey, I got to take it while it's hot. How many of those players we've seen turn down those big contracts and never get it again? The player that comes to mind is the dude from LA. I forget. Was it like a German dude? Dennis
Oh,
Schroeder.
Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, yeah.
Schroeder.
It was generational bag fumble guys where he could have had like I don't know. I think it was like over 100 million, and he ended up getting pennies. And so it's like sometimes you bet on yourself and you win. Sometimes you bet on yourself and you lose. I can't really see this as a lose. Like he had 4 years of getting like not much for all-star production. At least now he's getting paid like like a reasonably talented, maybe not his full worth, but he's getting some money. He's rich.
Yeah.
All right. I'll jump in real quick, Josh, and then I'll go to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So initially, when I first started looking into this, I was really heated about this, and I was like, how dare them, man, try to, it's almost like colluding. It's, they were tampering with this guy, but then I stepped back and looked at it, and I'm like, they're the union. That's what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
They're supposed to get the maximum value for the players that they represent. My father was a union president, and he represented bus drivers and mechanics, and he didn't care if they were trying to get a 15-cent raise. He would go berserk trying to get a raise for them, to the point that he would pick it outside of the general manager of the bus company's house with like 40 people over a 15-cent raise. And I said, why are you doing that? He said, it's the principle. It's because they have it and they've earned it, but the company doesn't want to give it to them. And so when I look at it and I sit back, and I was just having this conversation with my wife about, my wife absolutely loathes the fact that athletes make hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm in agreement with her on that because I feel like there's people that, are in public service that are responsible for help to save lives that should be making that kind of money. But it's an entertainment thing when you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Yankees raked in over 600, I believe, in $680 million in profit just off of the Yankees alone, and they're paying Aaron Judge $36 million, I believe, and which ends up being 5% of just what they made last year. 5% of what they made last year, what they raked in last year. So I get tired of watching the Yankees say, we don't have money to spend. We don't want to go over the threshold. We don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then you have, when you think about it, you have the union saying, take them for what you can get. Get every red cent that you can get out of them. And so I started to look at it differently. The union is there to protect the players' interests. Now, anything that they do, they collectively bargain the contracts to set standards for each contract for each player. They do that at the bargaining table, right? The only problem that I really have with it is that they're kind of hitting below the belt with this a little bit because they agreed to a standard when they collectively bargained in 2020. And now they're like, it's almost like they're whispering in these players' ears. I know we said we were going to do this, but don't take that money. Don't do this. Don't do that. And all it's really going to do is cause a conflict with agents. It's going to cause a conflict with front offices, and eventually, what you're going to end up seeing is a lockout because there's going to be a perfect storm of the union getting it, tampering. Call it what you want. I still think it's kind of shady the way that they do it, but it's their job. It's what they do, and they're doing it in a way where they actually don't step over that line. But I do feel like they're kind of towing that line a little bit though. But it's their job, and that's what the players pay them to do. Now, the fact that Jackson Merrill didn't listen to them and he went and signed that deal anyway, that kind of hurts their credibility. Because other young players that are in his class, and Zeke, man, that was a big class last year. You too, Peasy, there's a big rookie class last year. These guys are going to see, especially if they're not coming out the gate strong and doing well, they're going to say, you know what, hey, they're waving this money in my note, I better take it because I don't know if I'm going to get it again. But then you got somebody like Jackson Merrill who's shining, and he's like, I'm going to take it because in 9 years, I'm going to secure another bag because I'm going to be in my prime. I'm going to bet on myself. So to wrap up, I don't know, man. I started off as a 2 on this thing, and then the more I looked into it, I went to a 4. And I'll give you one riveting thing that helped me kind of push and say, you know what, I'm gonna go pro union on this. In 2022, Aaron Judge and the Yankees went to they were headed towards arbitration, and to avoid arbitration, Judge was asking for $21 million, and I'm sure that obviously his agent and the union was like, they were telling him to get this money. This is what your value is. The Yankees only wanted to give him 17, I believe, and I think they ended up agreeing at like 19. And he was like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. So he bet on himself, and then he went out and he just crushed. You know what I'm saying? He crushed. He ended up breaking Roger Maris's home run record, and he bet on himself, and he ended up with, which is now kind of like a pauper's salary compared to these other cats, what these other cats are getting. He ended up getting a $360 million deal. So I don't know, man. I think the union is doing their job, and there's a lot of inner workings I'm sure that we don't know about, but it doesn't pass the smell test, but it's what they're in place for.
And just kind of put a little stamp on this though, but like you never know what the future holds. Like I know like a lot of times these teams try to take advantage of the younger players. I think it's smart. Like if you want to make a bet on a young player that they're going to be great and kind of wave that money in front of them like you're talking about, Dave, sometimes that could backfire. The team is taking a bet. Look at the Tampa Bay Rays with Wander Franco. You
Yeah,
think they
man.
would like to take that contract back? He looked like he was going to be an all-time great. And then all of a sudden, 11-year deal, $182 million. This man is not even on the field.
Nah, man. They call him
So,
Might
like,
never
they
play
call him
another game
potential
of
predator.
baseball in
They
the
don't
States
call him
again.
Wander Franco anymore.
they don't talk about him no more. So you never know what the future's going to hold. They wave that money in front of your face. You might want to take it.
Yeah.
Might want to take it.
I feel like the Braves. I feel like the Braves took advantage of Ronald Acuna, though. I really do. I feel like Ronald Acuna was worth more than the money that they gave him. Now he has been hurt, but I mean that goes without saying. It's like injuries are a part of the game. But value wise, to me, I felt like if Acuna had held out, maybe he probably he probably lucked out in this deal. I think you would agree too, Zeke, because he's so often hurt that I don't know if he would be able to secure the contract that he has right now if he was in the market for a contract. You know what I'm saying? Say next year he's trying to get a contract. I don't think he would get the value that he's at right
Everybody talks about the Acuna deal. They forget Ozzy Albies is playing for
Ozzy
$5 million
Albies.
a year.
now. Yeah, I
Yes.
keep forgetting about him, man.
Ozzy
Ozzy
Albies is
Albies.
playing baseball for the Atlanta Braves for $5 million a year.
That's right.
Again, to people like me and you and Liz, it's a lot of money for the value that Ozzy Albies brings to the Atlanta Braves franchise. It's chump change.
Right.
So I mean, if anybody got taken advantage of, it's Ozzy.
Yeah,
But they said that at the time too. Everybody was there like,
Yeah,
why would you
but
sign that? That seemed like a dumb deal the year he signed it, just to be fair.
well, again, I mean, Ozzy is young. He's got health. If his body stays healthy, he's got plenty of baseball ahead of him. I've heard a couple of times that while you guys were talking that the player union is supposed to look out for the best interest of the players. I don't understand how a young Jackson Merrill getting 135 mil is not in his best interest. Because I mean, okay, he's on the IL with the hamstring strain. What if my man blew out his knee like Acuna?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right, at least he's got 135 million to sit on. What if he has a hot couple years? Y'all remember Yasiel Puig?
Oh
Puig was
yeah.
a beast. Where's Yasiel Puig now? I
Hey,
don't know.
you should watch the special on Puig, man, about all the stuff he was going through with the cartel.
Uh huh.
Mm.
You should watch that special, man. It's crazy. I have a whole different view on Yasiel Puig now since I watched that whole thing. He had the cartel following him, man, from city to city while he was playing ball because they wanted a certain percentage of his contract and they wanted it up front. Like
Wow.
when he
That's
signed the
crazy.
deal, they wanted the money up front. This dude was like hiding. He was hiding in trunks and switching cars like he was in the mob or something, man, trying to get to the stadium to play games. It
Yeah.
is
That's crazy.
crazy. You should watch it. It's really, really good.
I mean, it's a perfect example. For every Puig and for every Wander Franco, you got a Ozzy Albies, you got a Jackson Merrill. The players are gambling, the teams are gambling, and you just got to figure out what you feel safe doing. And for
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill, the security and the team environment, that was important to him. So props to him.
Hmm.
I didn't think he needed to take a swipe at my man Juan Soto. But
Oh,
other
he
than
He
did.
that, we'll let
did.
that slide.
That wasn't no swipe. That was a shotgun blast.
Yeah,
That
he
wasn't a
did,
shot,
man.
man. Shots
To
Boom.
the chest.
fired.
All right, Josh, let's hear from you, man. I know we kind of went long winded with that one, but let's hear
Uh,
from
that's okay. I love listening to you guys because baseball is not my sport and I don't really understand it. But you know, Zeke started off and I gave it a 2, and I was sided with him already on that. And then you guys started talking Peasy and in the Dave in the cut, and I'm like, okay, now I get it. Okay, union side of things. I understand. I came from a union, and then I looked at it, man. I read the statement. The MLBPA encouraging players to not sign contracts that they disagree with should be viewed as morally and legally acceptable and not a form of tampering. I disagree. I stand again number 2. And here's why. It is the MLB Players Association, not the MLB Players Union. A true union fights for equal pay across the board, no matter
you.
what your position is, no matter what your skill level is at, no matter how good you do at your job or not. Zeke, I'm pretty sure you work for the county, right? You guys are in a union. You know what I'm talking about, right? I
Yep.
I came from a union. There's guys underneath me that work for me that are inner union. I have guys on the same level playing field. HVAC technician, HVAC technician. This guy out surpasses the other guy, but they're both getting paid the same.
Making the same amount of money.
And that's the problem with unions. Unions are fighting for the bottom dollar value of everyone across the board. Players' associations are supposed to look out for the players, not the whole group, the players. So when a guy like this dude comes out and he's a home run hitter and he's going to have a great impact on the game because they seen it from the get go, That's when a players association gets involved and they say, all right, this is what your value is. This is what you can get at the top of the dollar. And we suggest you go for that because at some point, what that's going to do is that's going to only help us in the future when guys like you come around. We're going to be able to push that again.
Right.
Now, I stand on the side of how Zeke put it, man. If this kid said this franchise loves me, they drafted me, they care about me, they want to invest in me, the guys literally care for me when I walk in the door, and I feel valued and wanted, and they want to know about me personally on and off the field. I can't put a value number on that. How many people go to their job day in and day out and they're like, "Man, I wish I had another place to go to." Right? Because that's what you value most at the end of the day. Yeah, the money's good, but feeling a part of something is way much more better. And I just look at it from this faith perspective of like, be faithful with a little, and you'll be faithful with much. You know, if you can hold on to that little bit, right? And prove yourself day in and day out, game in and day out, and crush on the field, your value is always going to go with you because you're faithful with that little bit of what you have. And that value is going to go with you throughout your career. And at some point, that bag's going to hit no matter what.
No
So
doubt.
I understand both sides. I really do. I see it like, hey, listen, the bag's in front of you. Go get it while you can because nothing's guaranteed, nothing's promised, right? But at the same time, what profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his own soul? That's where I'm at.
That's a great take, Josh. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
All right, fellas. So let's do this. I know we had listed in the thumbnail, we had listed that we were going to talk about it happened this week, but and do the weekly roundup. Actually, we're still gonna do the weekly roundup, but I thought it was important that we bring up this next topic and talk about Don Staley.
Yeah. So
The
let's
coach.
play the clip. Let's play the clip. It's got audio and everything.
Yeah,
Hopefully
let's do
everyone's
that.
gonna
So
hear it, and then we'll talk about it. It's 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long almost.
okay, so let me do this before you play the clip.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so let me just add a little context to this for people who don't know. Dawn Staley, she's the coach of South Carolina women's basketball team, and they won the NCAA championship in 2022 and 2024. She won her first one in 2017. So last year, Caitlin Clark was like the talk of college basketball, and everybody was on Caitlin Clark, and even though South Carolina was going to championship game and they were winning the championship game, Caitlin Clark was coming off of everybody's lips. This year it was Paige Buchers, okay, and Paige Buchers plays for the UConn Huskies, and this is where. So with that context, she is the modern day. She's the next Caitlin Clark. All right. So with that context, let's go ahead and play the video for the people.
No doubt.
You have a player in Paige who obviously is one of the best in the country right now and has had an injured play career, but really good. You know her well. Can you just talk about her, what she's meant to women's basketball, and even if you guys do win tomorrow, how that won't define her as not being maybe as good as others just because she didn't win a title, if that's what you believe?
I'm going to tread lightly with this. Here's the thing. Sometimes we create these narratives about great players. Caitlin was one of them. Paige is one of them right now. And we tend to forget the narrative about what our kids have been able to do and going for their third in 4 years. So there's a sentimental narrative about Paige. Great freaking player. Like anybody would start their franchise with Paige because of her efficient way of playing, because of she's a winner, because she's cerebrally just knows the game, just has an aura about her. And she'll be the number one pick in the WNBA draft, and she'll be an Olympian. She will be all of those things, right? But when you put a narrative out there, everybody sees that, and it puts us at a disadvantage, whether you want to believe so or not. Officials see it. It's all over TikTok. It's all over Sports Center. It's all over all of that. And she's a great player, but just because you're a great player doesn't mean you need to win a national championship to legitimize it. Paige is legit. She was legit from the moment she stepped, on this stage or prior to in Minnesota. Her career is legendary. She will leave a legacy at UConn, whether she wins one or not. So I just want to put that out there. Like I can't not address it because it's happening. Like it happened to us last year. Everything was about Caitlin Clark and her legacy and her ability to win a national championship. Yet we were coming in this thing undefeated, doing something that's unprecedented at the time. Because it's hard. I mean, it's hard. And then we find ourselves back here in a similar situation. So, I want the sentiments to be about our players and what our players been able to do.
All right. So here's the statement, okay? So leading up to the championship game with UConn, South Carolina coach Don Staley's comments about the narrative around Paige Buchers and officiating being influenced was warranted. All right. Let's count it down. 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm at a 1. Josh is at a 3. Peasy and Zeke are at a 4. All right.
You got to kick it off, Dave.
All right, man. So for me, I don't understand. My issue with this whole thing is first of all, these are kids, man. All right. These are kids. These if the oldest player on these teams is 21 years old, I'd be shocked. All right. And Dawn Staley, since she's come into college basketball, her career has been phenomenal. All right. She has 3 championships in the last 7 years. She's been going up against the likes of Gino Ariema, and he is a powerhouse. He's got a powerhouse up there in UConn. The problem that I have with what Don Staley is saying is basically that anybody who is praising Caitlin Clark or Paige Buchers is in fact putting into the refs' ears that they are these athletes that are beyond reproach. Like they cannot, if anybody touches them or does anything wrong to them, the refs are going to automatically call fouls. The refs are going to favor them because the narrative is being put out there that, oh, this could be the grand story for them and blah, blah, blah. And if I remember correctly, Paige Buchers she wasn't able to participate in the tournament last year because she had a tore up knee. And so this year, she's been balling her behind off, and she ended up going to the championship game. Why wouldn't they talk about her? I have a problem with any coach that seems to have kind of a spark of jealousy about a kid being celebrated for their talents. Okay, for me, it has nothing to do with with Dawn Staley's team not getting any shine and not getting celebrated. And it's more about how the adults are acting in the situation. She's a grown woman, and she has to understand that the things that she says about these kids, it hurts. It's harmful. And it's not only harmful to them, it's harmful to their families. It's harmful to um, the people that look up to them. It's harmful to Dawn Staley. It could hurt her recruiting chances. It could hurt her reputation because it can come off as she's going after a kid. It's not Paige Bucher's fault that people are talking about her. And I get it. She praised her and all that stuff, but I felt like it was kind of empty. I felt like she did it because she felt like she had to do it so that she didn't get trounced. Because when she opened up her statement, she said, "I'm going to tread lightly on this one." And so it was like, well, you haven't tread lightly up until now. Why do it now? You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I like Dawn Staley a lot. I think Dawn Staley, her coaching style, she gets her players to commit. Her players play for her. But it's like every year, man. It's like always the same story with her. It's like you know, yeah, I know you. They may be good, but my players are good too. We know that because your players have won two out of the two. Well, now it's two out of the last four. But before she made this statement, their team had won two out of the last three championships. So we know they're good. But I just feel like there's kind of this underlying theme of jealousy um, when these players, and I'm just gonna be real, man. I'm just gonna keep. It's not really a secret that Paige Buchers and Caitlin Clark are white players, and they're getting this shine in a mostly black dominated arena. And I think there is some jealousy there, and I think from an adult standpoint, I think Dawn Staley she really needs to stop. That's just my take.
Interesting. Easy.
I actually saw it differently. I watched the comments a couple times now, and um, I don't really see it as Dawn like necessarily being jealous. Um, you got to understand the game of basketball too, just from a wider concept. Um, Teams are not celebrated in basketball. Players are celebrated in basketball. This ain't football. You know what I mean? Like when a team wins, the star player gets to shine. It's not the organization. That's not how basketball works. When we talk about LeBron, we'll talk about Steph, we'll talk about Tatum. You know what I mean? We're not talking about the franchise, right? It's not like, man, that Kansas City Chiefs, that GM, they put together a great team. We ain't talking about we talking about the players. And so like it's just natural that when you get to the big dance, South Carolina, she built a fantastic organization that she don't really have any kind of transcendent star players on that team. It's just a well coached a lot of very talented players that helped her get to that position. And so 2 years in a row, South Carolina is in the championship and they're playing Caitlin Clark. And of course, all the shine was about Caitlin Clark and her chance to finally get that chip. And then when she didn't get it, they tore her down. And so I think that's what she meant by those comments is they're like, hey, listen, let's not cast any aspersions on Paige if what happens to Paige is the same thing that happens to Caitlin Clark, where at the end, oh, you didn't get the chip. You're not nothing, right? And so I was actually thinking she was like trying to protect Paige, as far as like, hey man, like we gotta understand the narratives that we're creating, where if someone doesn't get that championship, now all of a sudden, their accomplishments are not validated. And I actually think that's what she meant by those comments, and I didn't take any kind of offense or umbrage with it. I think what she was doing was just an astute analysis of the way that they were positioning this to be. And, I think, a lot of times as a society, we like to build up heroes so that way we can watch them fall. And I think she was just trying to protect Paige. And maybe that kind of came across as maybe like a slight, but she had confidence that she was going to win that championship. These comments were made before the championship game. She probably thought she was going to win that, and Paige's efforts and collegiate, career was going to be invalidated. Ultimately, UConn won, and so the rest is history. But I don't really hold that against Dawn Staley and her comments. I didn't really see it that way. I didn't take it that way. I think it was well said.
Yeah, no, I actually so I understand what you're saying, Chris, but towards the end there when she said the comments similar to like they did this to us last year and they're doing it to us now. That to me was not in defense of any one person. That was her not taking accountability for her team not playing to its best potential and taking them to that next stage. In my
But she
opinion,
won last year though,
that,
so they
that
did play to their potential.
all I'm saying is this year, right? These comments are from this year, and so
These
I
comments were
understand.
before the game, though.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is like, so what does her comments mean then? They did this to us last year, and now
Caitlin Clark,
they're talking about the spotlight going from one
Caitlin Clark to Page,
and
player to player.
that's all I'm trying to say is like, yes, 100%. The spotlight is always going to be on one individual. For example, the spotlight is always on LeBron, right? And I hate that we take this that way, but I'm just using it because it's basketball for basketball. Spotlight's always on LeBron, but LeBron is currently injured right now. He's not playing, right? So it's like, yes, of course they're going to spotlight or highlight the player that is like that superstar standout, came in, did their thing, no one expected them to do it type mentality. And I kind of did sense a bit of jealousy, like, yeah, just because you won doesn't mean that there isn't some promotion from some other standpoint, because your team may won, but that's because of a team greatness last year. And this year, who knows where it's going based on that current statement at that time. But it almost felt like she was trying to say like, man, my team's doing their thing, we're shining, we're winning, but this person's getting highlights and getting spotlighted because she's having a great year. That does sound kind of like, wow. Like, to me, don't even talk on that. Like, who cares? You're literally being baited by media. And that's literally what the media wants, is they want a clickbait story. They want something for someone, for the audience to talk about and to tear somebody down. For me, it's like, don't even worry about what so and so is doing over there. Speak on your team and highlight the good things that's happening in your camp, and then let everybody else do the talking. That's kind of how I felt, but she felt that she needed to speak on it, and I thought it was unnecessary.
All right, Big Zeke, let's hear you, man.
Check it. Don Staley, in my opinion, said nothing wrong. All right. Dawn Staley was defending her team. I don't see it as anything much different than uh, when Dion gets on the at the podium and defends his team and makes sure that the narrative is pointed in a certain direction. I don't see it as any different than, like Josh was talking about, the spotlight always being on LeBron. That's part of the problem. Like that's what Chuck said a few weeks ago. All ESPN want to do is talk about the Lakers and the Warriors when you got the Cavs, you got the Thunder, you got all these other teams having great years, but all we talk about is the Lakers and the Warriors and LeBron and Steph. That's what Don Staley was saying. Like last year, they were in a position where they were going, I believe it was for back to back. Um, no, I'm sorry, they were 2 out of 3. They were going for 2 out of 3. This year would have been 3 out of 4. That's a big accomplishment. All anybody wanted to talk about was Caitlin Clark. This year, they're going for 3 out of 4 back-to-back championships, and all anybody wants to talk about is Paige Beckers. Look, Paige is dope. Before Caitlin Clark, it was Paige. Paige was supposed to be the next big thing in women's basketball. Injuries took a toll on that, and that's why she's 23 years old playing her final college game. Paige was around for a while, but she had to take a couple steps back because of the injuries. Caitlin Clark filled that void, but uh, Paige isn't the next Caitlin Clark. Paige is Paige. Paige is dope, and that's what Dawn said from even before she stepped foot on a college campus. Paige was that girl. but you have a South Carolina team that was on somewhat of a dynastic run, and nobody wanted to talk about it. It's all about Paige. It's all about Caitlyn last year. So Don's like, look, I got some girls over here that are doing some big things. We can talk about Paige, but it's not all about Paige. And we all heard like the star players get all the calls. We heard it with Mike. We heard it with LeBron, Kobe to an extent. She wants to make sure that it's not in everybody's head that Paige finally gets to the national championship. Am I saying the refs would have done it intentionally? No, but subconsciously, they might be watching the game a certain way and trying to protect the game a certain way. She wants to make sure, hey, Paige, it'd be nice for her to win the championship, but we got some girls over here trying to make history too. So if we go, let's call it even because there's history to be made on both sides. I don't have a problem with anything Dawn said, um, and I don't think it's gonna hurt the recruiting because just today I read that uh, from the transfer portal they're getting the top scorer in the country from Florida State is coming to play for Dawn Staley. Um, Dawn Staley is that household name in women's basketball. Dawn Staley was a beast in college. Um, she played in the W, didn't she? I think so.
Dawn
Yeah,
Staley?
and
Yeah, she
probably
did.
like in the early stages of WNBA.
She
But
was on the
Dawn
Liberty,
Don,
Staley,
bro.
when it comes to women's basketball,
Don Staley.
is one of those names. What you say, Dave?
And Dawn Staley was on the Liberty, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
she
So
was in the W.
yeah, so like she's one of those names like
She played for the New York
Cheryl
Liberty.
Swoops and Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson and those old school pioneer names in women's
Right.
basketball. So she has that gravitas where players can look at what she did and it's not a oh she was trying to tear somebody else down. It's like nah, that's a coach that's gonna stand up for us and make sure that we get the recognition that we deserve. Um, I applaud it. She didn't say anything derogatory. She didn't say anything to tear down Paige. I would love to hear what Paige has to say about it. I haven't seen any quotes from her, but I mean Gino Auriemma, he takes shots at other coaches and side comments at other organizations all the time, and nobody bats an eye. So I think people need to
Yeah,
get off of Dawn's
I
back
think that's
because
different with Gino though, man. I've never heard Gino. I've never heard Gino talk about other kids though. I've heard him kill other coaches and
okay, not one time did Dawn say anything ill about Caitlyn or Paige. All she said was, "Look, there's it's not just them playing basketball. Like we can talk about them. They are dope players. They deserve the spotlight. They deserve the recognition. But we got
I
players
disagree.
over here
Bro,
too.
the
Like we
media
got
I
will
ballers. We
never
got
disagree.
a team
change.
that's chasing history too.
The
I
Like
media will
disagree,
never
don't.
Zeke.
change. They
She
want the
literally said
Cinderella
that
story.
talking about these players could influence the referees.
Yeah.
Like
And
she
she was
said,
right.
Okay.
She was right. That's nothing. That's nothing against the kids.
I don't know,
That's
man.
nothing against the
no,
kids.
I think
Everybody was
that's
talking about the Chiefs and the Eagles Super Bowl, right? Everybody was talking about how the Chiefs got the refs in the pocket, all this, blah, blah, blah. They went all this, and then the Eagles didn't even let the refs get to the point of discussing that. They showed up, they showed out, they suffocated this boy, and they took the chip. Like,
Okay,
so,
now,
so here's what I'm trying to say, bro. It does not matter what the media says. It doesn't matter what
but
this.
here's what I want to say. Y'all can't sit here and
Hello.
say you can't talk about kids and then compare them to grown men playing a grown man sport. They got a different mentality. Look, Dawn knows her team. Dawn knows that if it gets in their head, all right, maybe they'll play a certain way because it's Caitlyn. They got to go out and prove something.
So
You can't compare NFL team's mentality to a college sports team's mentality. I'm not even going to say women's sports. We're talking about college sports. We're talking about kids, right? That was the
yes.
thing. Dawn shouldn't be talking about kids like that. You can't compare kids to grown men, bro.
But by stating the fact of saying, hey, the refs could possibly be doing this, because is that not also getting in their heads? So now
It
they
was
could be
probably already
unfair,
in their heads. We don't know what conversations they were having behind closed doors. So
right? So
while she's probably telling them, don't let the refs affect it, she's gonna get the message out there. Yo, listen, don't let refs, don't let this narrative of Paige finally get to the championship affect how you call this game because we got players over here too that want to win just as bad as Paige does.
And what I'm trying to say is by saying that, you are already inserting a narrative into your players' heads that the refs could be siding with X, Y, and Z because of her playability, her shine, whatever it may be. To
And
me,
what I'm saying is that narrative could have probably already been there before she said it. So
coulda, shoulda,
if
woulda,
she's
but
saying it
you gotta
behind, if
change
she's
the
telling them
narrative.
behind closed doors, focus on the game, which I don't doubt that she was doing
You
because she's
gotta
a dope
change the
coach.
narrative
She's
as
also going out there telling the refs, "Yo, call this down the middle.
you gotta
Well,
Don't. This
if I
isn't.
could
This
just
isn't the Paige
interject here
Beckers
real quick.
National Championship. This
you
is
gotta change
Carolina
the narrative.
versus UConn,
You
not
gotta
Paige
change
versus
the
the
narrative
world."
as a coach. You are there
The,
to lead. You just put all your efforts into your team. Don't worry about what's going on the other side of the court. Worry about your squad, your home base. You can't worry about
Who's
what's
saying she wasn't?
over.
Who's saying she wasn't?
I didn't say she
but
wasn't,
I
but
mean,
what she's got, she
And you throwing it out there like she wasn't, bro. And
she's
I'm sorry if I seem a little defensive, but I've been reading all kinds of stuff about people going against Dawn Staley. It kind of irked me because all of a sudden they want her out of South Carolina. You look at Dawn Staley's resume since she's been out here, South Carolina. I mean, second to Gino probably, but I wouldn't take another coach above Gino Oriema or Dawn Staley. So
but
all of a sudden she loses
that's
this championship and they want her out.
that's a whole nother topic though, Zeke. Do I think that her saying this deserves an out for her, or she should get a bad blood, or people should look at her differently as a coach? No. But when it comes to the standpoint of the statement saying officiating could be influenced and it's warranted, that's a whole nother topic. Don't worry about what's going on the other side of the court, bro. Focus on what's here in home base. I think that's fair to say, right? I
And
don't
I'm
think
not. I think it's unfair to say it because it insinuates that she wasn't doing that. It
no,
insinuates that
no,
she
it
wasn't
doesn't.
doing it. We
It
don't
is.
know the conversations that she was having closed doors behind closed doors with her team.
This wasn't closed door though, bro. This was to
Okay,
media.
this particular statement wasn't closed doors, but I guarantee you, behind the closed doors, Dawn Staley was telling her teams, "Yo, y'all can win this game. Don't worry about the rest. Let me handle that.
Of
Don't worry about the
course.
media. Let me handle that." And she went out there and did that. I don't have a
well,
problem
the,
with it.
the proof is
Where
in
do
the
you
pudding,
think
man.
the media,
Because
the media's
last
gonna
year,
infiltrate back right to the locker
bro,
room, bro?
last year they won the chip, and it was against Caitlin Clark, another player that they were talking a lot about, and they didn't have any problem beating them. I think probably the more interesting thing, I'm going to take this on a tangent because I'm not going to get into the argument that you guys were having, is that I don't think that the W side of the NBA slash college basketball realizes that they have a really good problem right now, right? In that
Touch.
there, I think she's focusing on, hey, you're promoting these players, but you should be promoting the team because on the men's side, they promote more the team than the players. But that's specifically because of what's happening in the individual sports. Right now, on the women's side, it doesn't make sense for these great collegiate athletes to go and play professional sports early and leave college because the money's not there. And so you're able to build up these brands that you just cannot do on the men's side of the ball because once they get that kind of accolades or they have that kind of accomplishment, they're instantly going into the draft to get that bag. And so I think they're missing an opportunity with their jealousy of as far as like, why are you promoting Kate Clark? Why are you promoting Paige Beckers, right? In that bro, you want them to do that. The way that the sport of basketball is, it's not about the team. It's about the player, and they don't know how to market their league. You want
Not in
that
college though, man. In
in
professionals,
college,
yeah, but not in
It's
college.
only
bro,
gonna it's
bro, but
only
in
gonna
college,
translate to
college is the transfer portal where you have these
boom,
ascending and rising stars
boom.
make it to your league, and then all of a sudden it's opening day, and people are excited to see the next iteration of the product.
What did
We
they
see
say?
this
300% increase in viewership when Caitlin Clark hit the floor?
that
300%
That's
increase.
exactly it. And they're missing with their jealousy, they're missing the market here. The market is we have a college sport that gives the future players of our league free pub and free excitement to enter the league. And they're missing that with the man, we should be talking about the team. Like if we're talking about Florida, like how many people know the star player on Florida on the Florida Gators who just won the championship? Probably not a whole lot that you're going to walk up to just somebody and say, hey, who's the best player and the person who won the NCAA men's side of the championship?
Let me
You know what I
Google.
mean? Maybe you know the Duke player, but do you know the star player on Houston? Do you know the star player on Florida? Like, do you know the star player on a lot of these men's basketball teams? You just don't get to know them. And so that's why we see NBA ratings declining and WNBA ratings last year at least were increasing because they have that kind of attention to the star players that are coming into their league, and they're missing the mark with their jealousy. Promote those players. You know what I mean? Like this is the future of your sport. So that's my 2 cents. That could be a whole nother topic, but you know that I think they're missing the mark there.
Yo,
I would have been good with what Dawn Staley was saying until she interjected the referees and then the last 15 seconds of her statement where she kind of went at Caitlyn and she went at Paige. I just felt like it was just like unnecessary, you know. Paige Buchers is like, I don't know if I'm saying this girl's name right.
It's
I've heard
Beckers.
it's Beckers, Paige Beckers. I'm sorry, but
Ovechkin.
huh?
Ovechkin.
Alex Ovechkin.
You know, the only thing I know about this young lady, like, you know, I didn't watch her play. I know she tore her knee up last year, but she came back from a severe knee injury. She's averaging 20 points a game. Like she was dropping dimes. Like she just came out and she was doing her thing, you know. Now, South Carolina ended up losing that championship game by like what 23, 24 points, something like that. And you know, they got dominated in that game. You know, Paige Becker, she proved that she's the superior athlete that she is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have been fine with Dawn Staley's, you know, her defending her team and stuff like that. I didn't like the part about the referees, man. I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt it felt tacky to me. It just kind of implied like they would cheat for this girl, and that just kind of like the girl's talented enough. She don't need no help, and she plays for Gino RM, but she don't need no help. He always puts a dope team out on the floor. So just the last piece of her comment is what kind of bothered me. So,
Yo, Dave in the cut. Let's motivate these people to stand firm.
oh, you want to go there?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it, man. All right, so I'm going to give a shout out to Opposition Radio. Opposition Radio is a 24-hour internet radio station that offers Christian hip hop, EDM, R&B, reggae, Latin, and pop music. Be sure to check out the amazing artists in rotation by going to the oppsradio.live from any internet browser. Opposition Radio, motivation to stand firm. Check them out. 24 hours, 7 days a week, always bumping, great music. I'm going to say it, Zeke. Not only am I a listener, but I'm a proud owner. That's so funny, yo. I'm not saying that ever again.
Say loud, say proud.
Yeah, let it happen
Shout out
organically,
to
man. You
Opposition
can't
Radio
force
and
it.
our partners over at the station. Make sure you go check us out and let us know what you think. On the website, there's a feedback. You can give us feedback, and you know if you want to hear some music in rotation, you can request music as well. I want to point this out too. This lovely young lady named Liz left a comment, and we didn't see this.
No, let's put it up.
This was about the MLB PA. She says that it's tampering. If your involvement steers someone in a certain direction, it's tampering. I love her. Man, that's awesome.
Dave got that text message in all caps that said, "Read my comment."
Go it.
I saw it up here, man. It's like we doing a horrible job with our comments, man. Nobody gonna want to leave comments if we don't check them out. So, all right, fellas, we are running mad late, so let's do this real quick. We're gonna go to the weekly rundown real quick.
Fastest 2 minutes in sports, like ESPN.
Yeah, let's throw it up there. All right, sweet. So the $500 million man, Vlad Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Why am I having such a hard time saying these Latin names, man? What's going on? Any Latin names, Russian names? I'm getting tongue tied here. So Vlad Jr. just secured the bag, $500 million. What was that? 14 years he got.
14.
14
So he's
years.
40 years old.
That's ridiculous.
Good for him.
Bro, that's wild. That is absurd. Vlad Jr. getting $500 million for what? Y'all think he's worth $500 million?
Bro, you know what's interesting is when I did the
Crazy on
math
that.
on that, just him being in Canada, bro, if he was in a state like Florida or in like Texas,
Yeah, that's ridiculous,
he
man.
would have made over $60 million more just being in a state like Florida or Texas than being in California with the same amount of contracts. So they had to overpay just because of the way their economy is set up. So good for him. I'm just worried about what that might do to my New York Mets.
I think he
Pete Alonso.
got the bag because the first base market is like it's whack right now. So
That's because nobody wants to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. They went after Soto, they went after Judge, they went after Ohtani. They couldn't get none of them to take their money because nobody wants to play for him. And so this dude is a Canadian, and he decided like, yo, this is where I want to be. So good for him for getting the bag, but they had to overpay to keep him.
What are his stats like? How good is he?
He's good. He's good. 500 million good? I don't think so.
nah,
I'm glad the Mets didn't sign him for that.
$500 million good, Zeke?
I mean, with the way they're throwing money around, I'm not surprised he got that money. Honestly.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm in agreement with that, man. All right, the UConn Lady Huskies are NCAA champs. We went over that already. We ain't gonna.
Don't forget the Florida Gators. The men played too.
We forgot to put the Florida Gators up there. What'd you say?
He said
the men played too. You talk about fumbling the bag. I'm so mad at Duke right now.
Man, listen, I had Duke in my bracket. I had all number ones, man. Y'all should be proud of your boy. I was ranked 65,000 in the nation, man. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at all these smart people ranked. All of these smart people from ESPN ranked 7.5 million and all of this other stuff. Your boy was 65,000, man. I'm taking.
Someone has to let Dave in the cut know that's not the flex he thinks it is.
Jim, out of all those people that was playing the bracket, that's a pretty good flex, man.
Bro,
million, yeah, he's doing.
I'm telling you right now, 65K. I'm taking that. If you want the numbers, holler at your boy. I got you.
Oh my goodness! Shout out to my man Carmelo Anthony, former New York Knicks legend, making it to the NBA Hall of Fame.
We got Dwight Howard, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles. He wasn't the only one. Stop hating on the women. Stop hating on the women, Peasy.
He's the only one that matters to me.
Billy Donovan.
You know he was drafted
I'm hot and cold on because he's the coach of the Bulls right now, and sometimes I just want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, I got to see Mellow Man play live, so it was I seen him in Madison Square Garden with my New York Knicks. Let's go, Mellow Man, making it.
A lot of people were like, this was a polarizing decision. What y'all think about Melo in the Hall of Fame?
He belongs. What are you talking about?
I'm with it.
Bruh, I didn't say me. I said a lot of people. I saw a lot of back and forth about this on social media because when I'm supposed to be working, I'm perusing social media, and there was a lot of people that was like, Hall of Fame for what?
Hall of Fame for what?
They just hate
him.
Yeah, they
okay, now how about this conversation? Do you think his number should be retired? I know PZ might say yes for New York, but what about the Nuggets?
No.
Oh, well, I mean, Jokic got the same number, don't
he? Yeah.
Isn't Jokic number 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, so number 15 should be retired for the Nuggets. Just probably not for Melo.
Right. It's definitely going to have Jokic on the back of it.
He's definitely going to have Jokic on the back. But yeah, they should definitely put 15 in the rafters.
And since we talk about
he should have been a rookie of the year.
Bring this up real quick. So in our upcoming episode, we're going to talk about Roberto Clemente and how the Pittsburgh Pirates are kind of disrespecting his number. We're going to have a discussion too about whether his number should be retired across Major League Baseball. So we're going to get into that too, fellas. So, all right, fellas. I think we wore out our welcome this week, bro.
Yep. Sure.
Wait, we can't dismiss Zeke with the church finger. We can't dismiss him with the church finger.
Go ahead,
man. That wasn't a church finger. That was a preview of My vote.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome. All right, fellas. Well, it's that time. It's that time. We
Hey,
appreciate
make sure
everybody
you like
tuning in
and subscribe.
and watching
If you
the
stay,
SportsCast.
if you
Go
stay
ahead,
with
Pete.
us this long, like and subscribe. Give us your feedback. Appreciate y'all.
All right, until next week, everybody be easy.
Deuces.
Peace.